Well, hello there, everybody. It's Grandpa Scott, and I'm back this afternoon for another great adventure. Grandpa Scott isn't outside today because it's raining, and we need a lot of rain, but it's not good to go outside and play, unless you're wearing a raincoat, I guess. So I thought I would read you guys a story. Does that sound like a great idea? Oh, well, sure it does. Well, today we have a really neat story. It's called Otis and the Tornado. Have you guys ever seen a tornado? I have. They're kind of scary. Well, this book was written by Loren. Should we read it? Okay, let's jump right in. Life was calm on the farm, where the friendly little tractor named Otis lived. It was summer. The sun shined bright, the birds chirped, and after all the work was done, Otis and his friends, like the little calf, liked to play. They would gather all their farm friends for a grand game of Follow the Leader. They would take turns being the leader as they marched along. Otis would go first, put, puff, puttery, chuff, followed by the little calf who would bound ahead, bawling all the while. Soon a horse would trot to the lead with a neigh neigh as his hoofs clip-clop, clip-clopped. Finally the ducks would waddle to the front with a chorus of quack, 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 quack. They all followed the leader. Up by the apple tree, around the barn, down the rolling hill, past the mud pond, beyond the cornfield, across the meadow, and along the banks of the mud creek. What a fun crowd they were. Everyone was so friendly, except who? Oh, look at that. Look at that. The bull. The bull was nobody's friend. When he was not in his pen, he was always kept in a pasture all by himself. Does he look a little scary? I think so. Wow, look at that bull. If any of the other farm animals got close, the bull would stand at the fence and snort and snarl and huff hot air. Suddenly, with a burst, he would run back and forth along the fence. Then he would stop and glare at them like a statue, never moving a muscle except to flare his nostrils. The bull did not like anyone, and everyone was afraid of him. I think I would be too. How about you? Once Otis tried to make friends with the bull. He took him a shiny red apple from the apple tree and invited him to play. But the bull snorted and snarled and glared at Otis. Then he stomped his hoofs in the dirt and charged. The bull slammed into the fence just inches away from where Otis stood. From that day on, Otis stayed clear of that bull altogether. I think I'd do that too. One day on the farm, the skies began to swirl and turn dark. The winds blew and the rain came down, and the animals in the barn grew restless and jittery. The skies tumbled and turned and turned and tumbled. Otis didn't mind the rain, but there was something different about this storm. He could feel it deep down in his pipes. Wow, what's coming, I wonder? All at once the wind stopped blowing, not even a breeze, and the rain disappeared, and the sky turned a strange shade of green, and the farm fell completely still. The only sound Otis heard was the put-puff towards the barn. The farmer was shouting in the distance, "It's coming fast! Get down in the cellar!" The farmer was in such a hurry he had no time for the animals. What was all the fuss about? Otis wondered. Then he turned and saw something that rattled his frame and shook his fenders. Oh boy. A tornado! Whoa, do you see it way over there in the corner? Yeah, it's something. Look at the sky, it's so dark. It was heading straight towards the farm. What would happen to all the animals locked in the barn? Otis sprung into action. He nudged the latch on the little calf stall until the door swung open. Good job, Otis. Next, Otis freed the pig and the sheep, and the winds howled closer. He stretched to unlatch the horses and the cow's door at the same time. Click, clack, the animals were free. Wow, he's doing a great job, isn't he? They followed Otis out of the barn and into the swirling winds. They followed him down the rolling hill past the mud pond beyond the cornfield, across the meadow and over the bank, and down into Mud Creek. He knows what to do. Tucked down in the lowest part of the farm, Otis, the little calf, and all their farm friends felt safe. Otis sighed with relief. Now they just had to huddle together and wait it out. See them down there? They're all safe in that low part by the creek. But just as they squeezed close and tight, Otis heard an awful bellowing cry, the sound of a large creature in trouble. The bull! He was locked in his pen. From the safety of the Mud Creek, Otis saw the tornado speeding, and the animals terrified them in their direction. Oh my! Lightning crashed and the tornado howled. The bull screamed, and in a flash Otis was gone. He raced across the meadow, put-puff, puttery-chuff, beyond the cornfield, past the mud pond, and up the rolling hill to the bullpen. Otis found the bull tucked under the shed, shaking in fear. Oh my, he's really scared, isn't he? Otis tried to unlatch the gate, but it was locked. He slammed his head into it. The gate shook, but held firm. Otis rammed it again. The gate teetered. The bull wailed like a baby. Otis spun around and threw himself in reverse, revved his engine, and charged backward into the gate. Crash! The gate shattered into pieces. Otis shook himself off, gave the bull a friendly chuff, and peeled out. They got to get out of there. The tornado's just about there. Wow, look at that picture. The bull followed Otis down the rolling hill, past the mud pond, beyond the cornfield. The tornado roared like a freight train as they crossed the meadow. And just as Otis and the bull dove for cover over the bank into the Mud Creek, the tornado touched down, narrowly missing them. Oh, wow, this is quite a story. What's going to happen? Otis, the little calf, the bull, and all the farm friends ducked their heads and closed their eyes. They never heard such a fury, felt such a rage, but they were all safely tucked down in the Muddy Creek's bed at the lowest part of the farm, and they stayed huddled there until long after the tornado passed. Wow, they're just making sure they're safe, right? Oh boy, look at the destruction that tornado caused. They came out only when it was calm and the sun shined bright and the birds began to chirp. They found a farm that needed great repair. Look at the barn that they were in. It's really messed up. And here come the animals back to check out what's going on. But when the work was all over, it was time to play. The farm friends discovered they had a new playmate. This one snorted and stomped his hoofs into the dirt. He flared his nostrils and he huffed hot air. But instead of a snarl and a glare, he wore a happy grin and a friendly gaze. And he took his place in line with Otis and the little calf and the grand game of Follow the Leader. Well, look at that. Here he is, a big tough meanie who didn't have any friends, and after the tornado and the bravery of Otis, now they've got a new friend in the big bull, and they can have more games and adventures, and that's what you need to do, 'cause now's the time to go outside and have some fun, because this Otis and the Tornado story, it's all done.